Watching Capitol Hill right now, day 2 with the federal government shut down. So far, Senate Democrats have blocked Republicans' short-term funding bill 3 times. Republicans argue that stalemate boils down to one singular thing: the far left's chokehold on Democrat leadership. I'm Harris Faulkner. You are in the Faulkner Focus. Vice President Vance made an appearance at the White House press briefing.
The reality here, and let's be honest about the politics, is that Chuck Schumer is terrified she's going to get a primary challenge from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. The reason why the American people's government is shut down is because Chuck Schumer is listening to the far-left radicals in his own party because he's terrified of a primary challenge.
Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and former Speaker Nancy Pelosi both are dismissing Republican criticism.
This is so not about me in this moment. Republican members of Congress saying, oh, well, if we have this shutdown, it's because of AOC. Well, if that's the case, my office is open and you are free to walk in and negotiate with me directly.
She said that senators are welcome to go to her office directly. Is she driving that?
Why are you saying such a ridiculous thing? A Republican saying that she's directing this. She is not.
Ooh, okay. Dim on dim argument, potentially. We'll watch. But at least one Democrat does not think any of this is ridiculous. Congressman Jared Golden of Maine is the only Democrat who backed Republicans' funding bill in the House. Golden argues that the shutdown is the result of hardball politics driven by the demands far-left groups are making on Democrat Party leaders. That is a quote from him. Federal websites are now displaying Democrats' hypocrisy on government shutdowns this way.
It is not normal to shut down the government when we don't get what we want.
If the government shuts down, it will be average Americans who suffer most.
Shutdowns are not good for the economy.
Families will be hurt. Farmers will be hurt. Everyday Americans whose lives were turned upside down by extreme weather events like hurricanes and floods and wildfires will be hurt.
Senior White House correspondent Peter Doocy. Peter.
Harris, since President Trump returned to the White House, courts and the Congress have made it really hard for him and his team to cut as much of the federal government as they want. During a shutdown, it's not that hard, and Democrats know it. Well, we had a bite from Jean Shaheen there saying that she does know it. You'll just have to take my word for it. Later on today, President Trump is teasing that I have a meeting with Russ Vought, he of Project 2025 fame, to determine which of the many Democrat agencies, most of which are a political scam, he recommends to be cut, and whether or not those cuts will be temporary or permanent. I can't believe the radical left Democrats gave me this unprecedented opportunity. They are not stupid people, so maybe this is their way of wanting to quietly and quickly make America great again. And we asked about that yesterday.
$18 billion bound for New York transportation projects is going to be frozen, so it can't go to DEI programs there. But the timing of this, does announcing that today mean that you guys are going to squeeze Chuck Schumer's home state until he blinks?
Look, I haven't talked to Russ about this morning, but when the Democrats shut down the government, we have to actually do a little triage to make sure the most critical and most essential services are provided.
And I mentioned off the top of this report that Democrats know it is not so hard for President Trump and his team to cut programs during a shutdown. Here is that missing soundbite.
I think the president has been cutting programs and federal employees since he took office from day one. So this is nothing new. The urgent issue for us now, and we need to come together on this, and I would hope that the president would work with congressional leadership to bring people together.
So far, though, no known meetings with President Trump and the Democrats in charge of Congress anytime soon. Harris?
Peter, thank you. Mark Meadows, former White House chief of staff under President Trump and former North Carolina congressman. Great to see you today. So let's start on the sticking point. And I've been talking about this day after day. The sweetener, as I put it, the $1.5 billion on top of everything else that Democrats say they'd like to have over the next 7 weeks until the end of a CR. That sounds like, and I've said this, they've got you over a barrel with a bribe. Is that going to fly?
Well, it's not going to fly, Harris, and certainly, you know, the negotiations that Peter Doocy was talking about, actually, most of those negotiations already took place and they failed. I can tell you that President Trump, weeks ago, were actually working with Republican members saying, don't add anything to this continuing resolution. We want to make sure it's clean. We want to make sure the Democrats have nothing to object to. But Harris, you're right, is not only have they upped the ante to say that they've got this unbelievable financial add-on, but it's not just that. When you look at their priorities, they're trying to essentially make President Trump bend the knee and act like he's not president of the United States. I also want to point out, most of these Democrats, including Chuck Schumer and leadership in the House, voted for the same spending, the same priorities only a few months ago, and now all of a sudden it's not good enough. I hope the president stays strong. Russ Vought is meeting with him today, as you reported, but more cuts are on the way.
What do you make of it with, and we had these, I don't know if you could see it, former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi saying that, you know, AOC, the far left, they're not in charge.
Yeah, well, she wishes they weren't in charge, and so does Chuck Schumer. But this is all lurched to the left, Harris. You covered it in your opening monologue there. But what's happened is that they are beholden to the far left, those extreme policies. And the president has said, we're not going to do that. Listen, if you were to have told me a few months ago that the president was going to convince every single Republican in the House to vote for a clean, continuing resolution to send it to the Senate, I'd say, boy, that's a real heavy lift. But yet what we also know is AOC is set in a good position to primary Chuck Schumer. He's feeling the heat. And $20 billion have already been frozen by Russ Vought. He's doing a great job, and he'll continue to do that.
The Daily Caller caught up with Democrat lawmakers and asked why they voted to shut down the government.
Congressman, why'd you vote to shut down the government? No comment?
Congressman, why'd you vote to shut down the government? Congressman? No comment, Congressman? Congressman, why'd you vote to shut down the government? Congressman? No comment?
Your reaction?
Yeah, obviously they know why it's been shut down. It's really about a political message. This is all about politics for them. But I can also say this, that when you look at what is going to happen, the headlines are going to start to say, you know, 10,000 people have not only been furloughed and getting a paid vacation when they come back, but they're asked to use their talents elsewhere. And these cuts will be permanent. And when that starts happening, real pressure on senators from Maryland and Virginia and a lot of other places that have a federal constituency that is real strong. So the pressure will ramp up. I disagree with the vice president. I think it will last at least 2 or 3 weeks and before there's enough headlines.
Because that's a big difference that you have now with the vice president.
Yeah, and listen, I've been through multiple shutdowns. If Chuck Schumer were going to fold, he is going to fold this weekend. If not, it's going to be after the 15th of the month when we start to see some of these layoffs go. And so we need to hunker down and be prepared for a long battle. I hope I'm wrong. The president hopes that we're wrong. Obviously, the vice president hopes that I'm wrong. But history would show that we're probably in this for several weeks.
Well, the American people hope that you're wrong. Those who work for the government.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, the 15th is that pay period. That'll be the last one that they'll actually get a check for a while until both sides can agree. Mark Meadows, always great to have you in focus. Thank you.
Great to be with you, Harris. Take care.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.